Hi, my name is Alison Shapiro, and I'm a patient at the Gait Center. 22 years ago, I had 2 brainstem strokes 24 hours apart, and I was profoundly injured. My left side was paralyzed, my right side was uncoordinated. I couldn't sit up, I couldn't walk, I couldn't swallow out a feeding tube, I couldn't focus my eyes, many other things. Obviously, I've made a good recovery over these 22 years. But I still have some residual issues. I've got balance and coordination issues, and try as I might to be careful, and I try really hard. Every once in a while I fall. 2 months ago, I had a bad fall. I injured my left thigh, deep bruise and contusion, really big, and I separated my left shoulder. These are serious injuries. They take a long time to heal. The left shoulder had to be immobilized in a sling for at least 4 weeks, and the whole process takes 3 months. So I have some experience with rehab, with having an injury, and with overcoming it. When I got out of the ER on the way home, I realized I had some immediate problems to solve. I needed to be able to get in and out of the bed, and I needed to be able to get on and off the toilet by myself. If I couldn't, I'd need somebody with me 24 hours a day, and that wouldn't be a good way for me to rest. So I said, how am I going to do this? I realized that getting in and out of the bed, I was going to need some leverage. I was going to have to hold on to something. So I needed a piece of furniture near enough to the bed that when I tried to get up, I could stabilize myself with my right arm. I had a bookcase. That worked. The toilet, I needed a toilet chair. The toilet was too low. I wouldn't be able to get on and off it. I had a chair. We had one from a friend, but you can pick them up at another place, at a supply store. And we put it in place, and you can raise and lower the seat. And I needed the seat really high at first. So that was one problem solved. Okay, next problem. With this kind of injury, I couldn't lie flat, hurt too much. I needed to be reclined. They recommended a recliner, but in my little house, I didn't have a recliner, and a recliner would not fit. So I got a wedge pillow, and I piled it up with other pillows so I could lie down and sit sort of up. That problem was solved. I needed to have my bedroom and my bathroom on the same floor where I could get back and forth. Fortunately, we had created that situation before I fell, so that was in place. Okay, those problems solved. What's next? The next thing I needed to figure out was how I was going to eat. I obviously wasn't going to cook. So I began to think about things that were easy to eat. Things like hard-boiled eggs, pieces of cheese, fruit, nuts, and dried fruit mixed together. The things that I could use with my hand. And then when I had other kind of food and I couldn't cut it with a knife and fork, I got out the kitchen shears. And with the kitchen shears, I could cut all the food up one-handed and then just use a spoon or a fork. I needed to be well hydrated, lots of water, so I had bottles or cans of water put near my bed where I could get them. Okay. Those things in place, the next thing I had to deal with was how am I going to get clean? I needed to be able to shower. Don't be in a hurry. Please don't be in a hurry. Wait a couple days till things settle down. And when I started to shower, I needed somebody to help me at first. This arm was immobilized. I needed somebody to get my clothes off and get them back on. And that was true for about a week until I began to be able to shower for myself. But I could still use only one arm. How was I going to get the shampoo on my head? How was I going to get the rinse on my head? I get these. Looks like a spatula. It's actually called a spoonula. It's got a curve in it. I could put the shampoo here, I could put the cream rinse here, and then I could go like this with one hand. That worked. That was a problem solved. When you start to do things, it's really important to be strategic. Don't hurry. I needed to make sure I had everything set up before I turned the water on for the shower. Any fall would have made everything so much worse. I needed to be really safe. So I was paying attention to what I could do. Then comes clothes. I couldn't wear the kind of clothes I usually wear. This arm was way too sore to move. So I borrowed some of my husband's shirts. He's a lot bigger than I am. If you wear something like a big shirt, it doesn't take much effort to get it on the body. And that's all I could wear, plus some pull-on pants, because I couldn't fasten my pants. Had those things in place so that I could stay safe and not hurt myself when I was trying to get clean. If you don't have a big husband whose shirts you can wear, borrow some from a friend, get some from a used clothing store if a friend will go for you. Please don't try to put in anything that you ordinarily wear. Even now, 2 months into the injury, this shirt is bigger than I would ordinarily wear. I'm going to keep using bigger shirts, getting them smaller and smaller until I'm back to wearing what I used to wear. All of this is just problem solving. I'm trying to find a way to keep myself in as best shape as I can while I wait for this to work its way through. Fortunately for me, because I fell and also hit my head, I had an extra pair of glasses. It's really useful to have an extra pair of glasses because I broke the other glasses and made a cut in my forehead. I had a pair I carry with me in a suitcase when I travel, so I had my husband get them out and I can wear them. One of the things that's really useful to do is a grabber. Lots of things I couldn't easily reach, I can get with a grabber. Other kinds of tools you can use is I use this in the shower to put soap on so I could wash this way when I couldn't reach that way. There are lots of different ways you can solve these problems. You think about the tools that work for you. What's really important to remember is to settle in. Don't push too hard. Go slow, go steady, and don't forget that you need to forecast what's going to happen in the future. We don't know what's going to happen. I have no idea, even today, at 2 months out, how much shoulder recovery I'm going to have. I don't need to know. What I need to know is, what am I going to do today? How am I going to work with what's happening right now? How am I going to move through this problem? When I do that, all the solutions build on themselves. To keep my mind engaged while my body was healing, I decided I needed to do something that would help me think. I've long wanted to study more Spanish, so I got a Spanish language app, and I sat in my bed and I studied Spanish. It's really good for my brain, and it kept my mind on being present rather than worrying. Life is unpredictable. Recovery is unpredictable. And what I have understood over the years that I have done this is things will happen. Things always will happen. And it's not what happens to us that really matters. What changes everything is how we work with, how we deal with what comes to us. That has the power to open us to possibilities we never dreamed were possible. I work with a lot of healthcare providers, and I'm often asked, what would we like to hear from them? And I've thought about that a lot. And I've realized over the years, as I've worked with myself and with other people, that many times our healthcare providers try to predict outcomes for us. They say to us, oh, it's going to be such and such. And they really don't know. They have some general idea. And what I would ask every health provider in the rehab world that I have ever met to say to us, the patients, is, we don't know how much you're going to recover. We don't know. We have a good idea how the trajectory goes, but what we can do is work with you and help you find out how much you will recover. And if they do that for me, then I don't feel so closed in. Then it becomes my job to figure out what kind of life I can make for myself. Thank you very much for listening to me.